So I don't know how much time I have, so I'm just going to jump right in here. I'm working on a little plotting tool for Glamorous Toolkit and for my animation engine. One of the main things I've been wanting to animate forever is like a chart of some polynomials that kind of branch off in this tree structure. It'll make a lot of sense when video ever sees the light of day. And anyway, I just found myself working on this, and so I thought I'd turn the camera on and see how it goes. Like I said, I may have to turn this off at any minute. Give you a little snapshot here. All right, so they create a class GSPlot, and this is the GS object, and it's in package sketchlib charts. So the idea is that charts, but just charts. Okay. Yeah, there's something buggy with that little particular. That particular little drop down there. I think maybe I want to plot. So my idea is that in modeling this world is that we have a chart, which is the actual object, and then the plot is a component of that. So it might be a line plot or a bar plot or a scatter plot or whatever. So there would be a generic thing called a GSPlot, and then like groups or series or something like that. So we need to give them different names. So let's just call them series. Series would be a list of series. And so data points, data. I'd say data. And then the data would be a list of, how about groups? Or do we add a plot for each one? Maybe we just say data. We just call it series and have one series per plot, and then would have like a color and a marker and so on. And then I guess the marker would just be part of the, or how about a stencil? Something like that. So I've put some work into porting rosal. I don't know how you say it. Rosal. There's like a bunch of vowels in there. ROASSAL. Undeclared variable. Did I not just create? Oh no, because I didn't. I created a plot. So now we have GS plot. Rosal is an amazing tool, but I also know that my needs for animation are going to be slightly different. And I could probably get what I want out of Rosal, but I also, and I'm going to continue to work on it, I think. But I also think that, what am I trying to say? Sorry, doing too much at once. Well, whenever I have talked about porting Rosal over, or migrating Rosal over from stock Pharaoh to Glamorous Toolkit, the people from Think have always given me the feedback that maybe it's better to just make your own chart builders, because Block already does a lot of the stuff that Rosal does, and it has its Rosal is a builder that's kind of like graphics framework agnostic, and so is Block. Right? Block is also a library that has all cameras and and spatial and maps down to a canvas. And so there one part of Rosal is Mondrian, and there is a GT Mondrian for Glamorous Toolkit, and that's just how it is. So I don't know. I've done some work, and my last stream I think was about getting some work on Rosal, and I've done some additional work on that, but it's a big toolkit, and I don't fully understand it. And part of what I want to do is really be able to explain everything I'm using and what I'm doing, and actually make a series of videos that talk about building this up from the ground up. After it's been documented and cleaned up and written as articles, then I'll come back and after it's done and in theory make a series of videos. All right, so add points. So I'm going to create a method here. Actually, we should call this add data. Make it generic, and then just different kinds of charts will have different kinds of data. So scatter plots will expect to have a point array. Point array as a symbol. A string. Or actually, how about a collection as a string, and then yeah, see here, I'm already saying add plot, add points. Maybe we don't need this. Maybe we just say add data, and just have it call data, a collection. And then so data would be, so just be a plain accessor, and then we'll give that the plot. Boom. Okay. And then we'll say data here. Maybe we can just call this plot. Say plot this. The scatter add. How about we say for? So we'll say add this scatter plot, and then we'll say as, and then the label as a, and then add GS scatter plot for this data as and this one needs the closing C's as B. Okay. As B. I like that. So then this was collection, and we'll say self new data a collection. And scatter plot for whatever. This should already exist now. Update. And then add as the new thing. GS chart, add a plot as a and then we'll say self plots add a plot. Probably we should have a version of this that doesn't need the name, but self names add a name. So no, those don't exist. Go ahead and create those. We don't need self here. Just want it to be a variable name method. Add slot names in GSchart. Yep. Okay. And if we click on this, then we can add plot. We don't need this anymore. Oh, we have to add this thing. Add. Rename this to add a plot. Add a plot. Then this. What happened there? This big glitch there. And so we don't need. Yeah, same thing. Just one of them has a name, one of them doesn't. Maybe we should solve this. Self add a plot as, and just give it an empty name. No label, basically. So no name. And then it should return itself. Redundant. All right, so, and then in the initialize, we'll say names also equal this empty list. I have a slot there. I've already added the slot. Axes plot. And rather than a plot, we'll just have. The idea is all these plots are going to exist on the same. The chart keeps the min and max values, and then the axes will be visible visual displays of those things. Plots will be the display of the data, and then the names will be the names of the series plots. I think I like that. And so that was what a chart is. Min and max are going to be points. Min, max are points, and then so those will. So then the comment for this is, I represent a chart with axes and some number of plots. Coordinate space and some number of plots. Some number of plots and axes. Maybe 0. So plots, axes, and labels. Legend. Okay. All right, we'll say labels. So I was inspired to do this by Decker. My friend John Ernest has made this wonderful little. Oh, I didn't finish. This a wonderful little hypercard-like system called Decker. Done some amount of work. Oh, actually, I'm supposed to be copying this data over from one of his examples. So he made this little library, and I was impressed by how small and elegant it is. By Decker. Surprised I didn't. Whatever. So he's got this nice little system where you can put data just right on the card, and you don't really have. I don't know. It's a really nice system. Unlike Pages here, where you create variable names, you can you don't have. Or if you want to create a variable in Decker, you just create a grid. So every variable is a widget is encapsulated by a widget on the card. So a table of data would be in one of these grid widgets. This is a canvas, and image, text, and so on. But, so I was looking at B&E, so 15 and 12, and then the next, these are the groups X, Y, and G. E is 15 and 12, 12 and 11, and then there are only two values in that group. Okay, so my goal is that when I press this button, implement add should not have been implemented in array. Okay, I think I thought you could do that with an array, but you cannot. I don't know how I got that idea. So what that means is, are we adding things? We're adding this chart. Here we're saying add. So this should actually, it's the initialize here. We'll just say order collection new. And now when we run this, yeah, we get nothing. So the chart doesn't actually do anything yet, because we haven't done any of the building part. But it is a GS object, so it does have a shape and whatnot. So we have to tell it a size that we want it to be. So because it's a GS element, actually we can just say, let's do it in the initialize. Let's give it like a default look and feel. I would say, I'm trying to make this chart, so rather than drawing this box around it, maybe that's fine. Maybe we start with just like a very light border around it and just draw a box. Back up here. And for now, we'll say match parent. Keep that in there. First of all, it should be self match parent. I don't know if that's what I want to do or not, but see. So self background very color. No, we'll do border. Do the border is very light gray. Color very light. Color very light gray. Very light gray. And we could change that later. The default. So it should be a rectangle now. When we should at least see a rectangle. So there's the rectangle. Expands to that size. That's totally fine with me. I'm going to make it expandable in a minute, or I'm going to make it resizable. Or not in a minute, but sometime later, I'm going to make this something like floating on a canvas with some handles. The whole idea is that it's a kind of sketch. Or yeah, a sketch in my world is something that you can manipulate and move around, like in a drawing program. But this one will have data, so you'll be able to resize it. Okay, so I'm still kind of feeling my way around here. So I think when the extents change, that's when we're going to have to recalculate the scale. So as we add data, you're going to have two axes basically. I'm trying to keep it general in the sense that we might do like a radial plot or something like that, where you know like a, what do you call those, spiderweb plot, where it's like a, you've got many axes that are, it's a little bit like a pie chart. Oh, I can draw one. I can draw one in Decker card. Yeah, so cool pencil. That's probably like F4. And then I think you can change these. I want to erase. So you had a color to this, and so that's why you had color now. You can, colors got me interested in using it. His name is John Ernest. This is called Decker. Fill color. If I pick a stroke color is this way. All right. So I want to draw this. I could have just drawn a box from the box. Like, can I clear the card? I'm not. Here. Oh, but I set the fill color to interesting. So that, now edit. Here. Interesting. Okay. So now tool box. Draw this. Okay. So then the line tool. And you have something like this. Right. This is a spiderweb chart, and then I don't know what it's called. I call it a spiderweb chart. And we'll try to just draw like this. Yeah. So like in different, you have like many different attributes that all go from like 0 to 1 or something like that. Like if I don't know. I guess suppose if you were making a D&D character, or I guess the place I've seen it most is like when you take a test and it assesses multiple skills at once. So, guess we would cool polygon. Bear with me here. This. Ah, I see. Right, so you would draw the spider web like this, and then it would show you that you got that. Those are your skills, and that's how you perform. Although I guess it would probably be more like, I'm not really sure how it works. But you get a different shape based on what different aptitudes you have or whatever. Maybe it's more like, I don't know, like that. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. But the point is that this would have multiple axes, and then of course you have like polar. detour. He doesn't offer that in this yet. He made a very small library, and it's just super tiny. Yeah, the code here is very small. Huh. Somehow the URL got corrupted and had some junk at the end. But, it's in a deck, so you have to look at the source code. Just what I'm saying. But yeah, yeah, but the code is not very long, and this is like all the different types of scattering plots. He's got scatter plots and bar plots and all. And the way he did things, first he had this nice algorithm from a book that came out a long time ago, or a paper or something like that, about making nice labels. So when your data is there, you can, it gives you a nice, it figures out what the range should be and where the tick should be. And then, to make it like nice and human friendly. And then he says plot series, and then he gives it a canvas, the data, and then a draw command. And then so every different application or every different type of plot just says plot a series with the canvas and the data, and then has a custom draw command. And I think that's a very simple way to do it, because then they're all basically the same. I don't think he has a pie chart on here. I don't really use pie charts all that much. But there you can do different, the box and whiskers, and then bar chart and all that stuff. Histogram, bar chart. So it's just very small, and it just seemed like a much simpler way to get started than rosal. And even if I don't know if I'm going to use this or not. This is kind of just an experiment, so that's why I'm at it. But I really like this, and so I ported this to Smalltalk. So this right here, here's a little function called nice. Nice is the name of the function. It takes x and round as parameters. This language is called lil, the language he made specifically for Decker. And this is my Smalltalk port of that. Here's the nice part and label. And I actually asked how I could make this better. A little ugly to me. True case of. I really didn't like that. That's how you do a switch statement. Not terribly thrilled with that. But probably it's more like round if true. Something like this, and probably somebody suggested should round as the name. Should round if true, and then if false, and then we could say yeah, but then but to do this right, you've got to. I'm not going to mess with this right now. You have to actually make it a method so you can return something. That was the idea. Was you would escape early, and then avoid having to make all this case of stuff. But you can't escape early from this because the return symbol is for the method, and you're not meant to be. Yeah, it's a little weird. Smalltalk it's a really nice feature, but it doesn't play nice with these Leopard pages. So anyway, yeah, kind of went down a rabbit hole there. Didn't really need to do that, but so I'm gonna well, actually I'm gonna do this very soon. So I want to draw these axes or whatever. So I need to look at, and in order to figure out what that is, I need to know what the minimum and the maximum are, and then how many ticks I should have if they're going to be ticks. So that's ticks, min, and max. num-ticks. Num-ticks. And this is I think he makes like a really nice plot here. Oops. Gap to number and send was what? Oh, because I had something highlighted on it. Make sure this works. So if you give it 10 ticks between 241 and 999, it rounds that up and figures out that it should be 200. Start at 200 and go up to 100 or 1000. So it rounds down and rounds up a little bit. But I was just also reading a very famous book that I have on my shelf here called The Visual Display of Quantitative Information, and I'm thinking I might do scatter plot design. Find an image of what he does. Edwin Tuft. Really classic book, big beautiful book. Yeah, so his scatter plot, but scatter plot. Come on, I like this new thing. Images. Where's the scatter plot? Yeah, so this is the kind of thing he does. So so here, instead of having the numbers meet all the way at the end, this is a terrible. There's a better picture. Oh, I lost. But you can see that like this. I don't know. You can't actually read what that says. It looks to me like it says 43, and this says 95. So instead of saying 40 and 100, it says 40 and 95. And then he also mirrors the plots up here as a histogram, which I think is really nice. Which I guess that's why this guy is a best-selling author of books. And so this I don't really like, but you can see there's kind of like a break in this line here, and that's the quartiles. So it breaks these into four quartiles. I don't really like that one so much. Whatever. I just don't like the line looking, all janky like that. I might be inclined to put like a different line up here. But his whole deal is like minimize the amount of ink on the page. Black pixels, maximize the amount of light coming out of your monitor, basically. He was writing for paper. But yeah, so I'm thinking about making my axes look a little bit more like these. So I might do that. But I still want the bounds to be set by the nice thing. The ticks are all exactly the same except the first and last one. So this, instead of saying 1000 and 241, or rather 200, it would say 241. But this line would still represent 200, and then this would represent 999 rather than 1000. So there'd be one extra pixel there that would have no data because there is no data. So it would not have, the line would not go all the way out there. I'm kind of thinking of doing that, but we'll see. That's kind of where my head is anyway. But it still takes this basic thing and then just extends that. So this gives you the scale for the min and max, and then the divisions where the tick marks should be, or the inner tick marks should be. And then we do that for both the top, or the horizontal, and the vertical and horizontal. And then put those nice. I don't know what he calls those, but he calls them range axes. So the line only goes out to the range. I don't know if I'll do the histogram scatter plot things, but we'll see. I'm not actually trying to make a scatter plot. I'm trying to make a mathematical plot, a plot of a function, right? As my first thing. So it'll be a while before I get there. But I'm making a scatter plot right now just because that was John's example and it seemed like a simple way to get started. So we'll do the scatter plot, and then we'll do the line plot. So which really should be the exact same thing, right? As soon as they're not in the same order. But scatter and then first, and you say scatter. Hey, what's happening? Probably not in track mode. Yeah, so drawing polygons. Scatter. And then he's got different data here, but I would imagine these lines would be exactly the same. And that's kind of what got me thinking about mixing and matching, lines and scatter plots and so on. So yeah, so I'm calling this thing the plot, and then the whole thing a chart. That would be a line plot. In fact, we could add this on here, right? We could add these lines on here. So and then we'll say add. So maybe say you did a regression or whatever. GS line plot for a series, right? So then for my thing, I want to have like a GS function plot, I guess. So that would be coming later. And so these now would just be numbers, I guess. And so we can ignore this and say 5, 7, 12, 6, 9. 5, 7, 12, 6, 9. I think curious. I haven't really used this other array syntax. But I think 5, 7, 12, 6, 9. I think you can say this. And if I print this, do I actually get the same? Yeah. Okay. So see, you don't have to put all the little dots in there. Whereas these are, this is a message being passed to the number 15 to make this point. So you actually do need the further braces, but you don't need all the little dots. Okay. GS line plot 4. So this would be another kind of plot. Go ahead and create that class. I never did press this button. I feel like I pressed it. Okay, so GS line plot. This is going to be a subclass of GSPlot. It's in game sketch lib, and it is going to be in charts. Bug there. I should fix it. I've done some. I've contributed like 2 changes to Glamorous Toolkit now. I've made 2 pull requests. I think everything we need is in plot, and so the only difference would be like what it would have a border, but the border is yeah. So this should not implemented, but this is implemented. This needs to be if I say this, and then I can right click or right click anywhere around here, I think, and I can push up method, and then that'll push that up to the GSPlot class. So then a line plot will have it. If I just go like this, then everything works. Did not understand data. A scatter plot. This also needs to be up, so push this up. Put it in just the right spot. Maybe it's just you have to click in the white space, maybe. You click on the name. Maybe it has to do with like what's selected. Like if I click there and then right click, I get this menu, which does not have lifted up. If I just right click, then I get move method, extract this parameter. Huh. I wonder if it's because the data does not exist on the other class. We move this up, push up. Now can we do this? Push up. Where I'm clicking, I'm not sure what the difference is. Now that worked. Okay. So add point says this is garbage. So yeah, so GSPlot is going to have all the logic except for how to render. So these will have like a render function. And then so we can go up here. How do you move it? If I click here, it'll open it. First of all, save this. And then if I try to click on that, it'll make a new window, but if new page. But if I just the class hierarchy, I can the data and for, and then we want to say plot. Right? The verb is plot, right? Or build. How about we say plot? I'll call it build. Build on. How about rebuild? Because it's a builder. And then it would be like self remove. What does it say? We'll say a subclass responsibility. Subclass responsibility. Draw the markers. Draw the markers. And there'll probably be something about the transform, but we'll see. Ideally, the chart has like one sub element, which I was going to call the plot. So maybe the plot area would be a sub element. I should have my pen here, right? I have a nice drawing tablet somewhere. But so the idea is that whatever we have here for the ticks and all that, and over here we'll have the ticks with labels, and it'll be like the 2 and or 7, whatever. Not the right numbers, like 10, 5 or something, whatever. And then like this area, it wouldn't be blue, but that whole area would be like one widget that is a subchild. So there'll be that widget, that or element in block term. It'll be the axis, and then the chart area, and then that would contain other widgets or other elements that had the actual charts on. And then these would be on top, so that if you're doing a mathematical plot, you could move these, like to make the origin. You could show the origin in the middle or whatever. And then this would just size to fit whatever. You use different layouts, I guess. So Block has all the layouts to make this kind of thing happen. I bet this would be like a grid layout. I'm not entirely sure. Or we could just do like, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Point is that like you could build this scene with the different layout tools pretty easily in Block. So hopefully that won't be a big deal. It does occur to me that these lines are going to be yeah, so this might actually need its own axis or whatever. Like these might need, because the line, like the line plot. Yeah, I might just leave this out for now because I'm because the you don't want the numbers to just be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 because these numbers are not 1, 2, 3, 5. These are 10 and 23 and 9. So they're not, right. So you don't want this to be a line that starts at 0, 0 and goes somewhere, or 1, 1 and goes somewhere. It has to be, because that would put the line like here. You'd wind up with a line like going this way or something. I don't know what this line does. I guess this particular line is that weird polyline. The point is that you don't want that floating in space here. You would want it to be like a straight line, for this kind of plot. A regression line is probably looking right here. I don't think I can actually draw on this. I'd have to put a new canvas on. Okay, so what am I doing? I'm just gonna comment this out for now, and try and still duplicate this scatter plot. So I guess I need to make these. So how would you lay that out? Like it's okay. So tool card. I want new to be under card, but it's not. It's under file. So we have the thing here. Like we can just reserve like an area here. Like doing this is easy. And then once you've divided it into 2, doing this is easy. I guess that's fine. I'm worried that the label will be slightly over here, but I think that's actually fine. I think you can actually have things go negative like that. So maybe I just do this would be a BR horizontal layout and a BR vertical layout. And we'll put the axes in there. But that means okay, so GSPlot cascade message expected, right? Because I have this here. Okay, so GS chart, we're going to hit Control V on this to browse it. And I want to give this a rebuild as well. So rebuild the whole chart. And self, remove children. And I'm just going to make something up now. Add child self. How about default? Well, okay, so children, give it a little more space to work with. Say self, add child. And this should be conditional later, right? So, but we're going to do a VR horizontal pane, new, and then that's the left and right split, and we're going to say add child, and then self default y-axis. Add as a method, and for that we'll just return a BL element new H exact 5. No, we don't want that. We want a GS object now, or a BR element. GS object, because that has all the size matching stuff. So H exact 10, whatever we want to be, 10 pixels or points or whatever. And then vertically we would match the parent. So V match parent. And then I'll just, it would have the ticks and all that stuff. We're going to say background color color red. That's the y-axis for now. And then I will call the same thing for an x-axis, and we'll make that so V exact 10, and then H match parent, and then color will be blue. And then so add child, and then VR or VR vertical pane new, and inside this one also add a child. The top part will be the plot area, so self plot area, plot element, plot container, plot holder. I'm tempted to call it a plot hole, the hole in which you put the plot. That means something else in English. Create plot holder in class GS chart. This will just be a new method. So again, we'll just return a GS object new. Call it GS element, probably match with it. To make it clear it's an element, but I'm using it so many times now. I'll have to do some major. I probably will do that. I'm not doing it right this second. And then we'll just say match parent, I think. Match parent in all directions, and then background color cornflower. Do I have cornflower? Yeah. Color light. From hex string. And that has to be in brackets. Otherwise it corresponds with background here. So so that's just going to be the plot holder for now. I'm not going to keep that color. The colors are just to make it clear what I'm doing. Well, as plot holder as a symbol. Axis. And then add child self default x axis as x axis. Okay, so normally when or later when I rebuild it, we'll rebuild it with whatever. Or actually, we want this to be called the y-axis, right? Yeah. So we'll have these x-axis and y-axis. Oh, I see, right, because so it should be more like a dictionary, again for the spider chart thing. So axis at y, axes at x, that at x. And I already did have something called axes, so then in initialize we'll say axes equals dictionary new, and then axes at x-axis put default self-default x. Self-default x-axis. Same thing. This will go away, I think. Just to start, this is a rough draft. Okay, so I call it x and y. Okay. All right, so now if I run this, I should get red, light blue, dark blue. I do not, because I did not rebuild it. I built it in the first place, but let's say rebuild. And when I do that, this whole thing, be our horizontal pane, and to be our vertical pane, should match their parents. Match parent. I think? Yeah, it's gotta be right. And then this is adding the vertical pane, and then match parent. And so now when I run the whole thing, yeah, that's what I'm expecting. Those are too small to be axes. Basic ideas. Now they're we'll just call it 24. Like that. Okay. See, but it's not really default x-axis, right? I probably don't want this to be. I probably don't want them to be an instance. I want them to be stencils because see, so here I'm saying min and max, right? Like I'm saying what the, and I did them as x and y, right? So the idea would be you could explicitly set the, you can explicitly set the, right? So the tick that goes here, if you did the full ticks, would be y min and y max, or max dot y, max y and max y. This is min y. This is min x, and this is max x. So in this case, this would be 0, 0, and this would be mistake. So this would be 10, 0, and this would be 0.10, 10, and this would be, or sorry, this would be 0, 10, right? That's what we want. So we want 0 all the way to 10 numbers here, and we want, and then and even if we said like ticks, 10, 10. And then it would just say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? I guess you want 11 ticks, right? 11 and 11, right? So I'm not sure what I'm doing here. A point, and self, or no, we would just say ticks is equal to a point, and then I was going to say rebuild, but maybe we don't want to rebuild every time we set every variable. All right, so when we do this rebuild thing, all right, so we're going to say, I'm trying. I'm dealing. I'm in my head. It's like too general now because I'm thinking, like, oh, what if you wanted to be a time series and you want a t-axis and a something axis and things like that. And no, let's just think about what do I want to do. So I want to add. Maybe something like self build axis x, something like that. Name, and then we'll say axes at. We'll just return axes at a name, for now, which should give us the exact same thing first. And maybe we'll say we'll put a border around it just to prove that we've done something. Border white. Self build axis x y as y axis. All right, so run this, and I would expect to see like a white line around everything. Yeah. It does not look good because now they're not the same size. But there we go. Okay. All right, so there's a. I'm thinking ahead. So I want to calculate the min and max for these two things, right? And I think oh right, I'm not. Yeah, okay. So I'm getting ahead of myself. So maybe I should write a little to-do list. If I go here and I say Shift Control Enter text, so to do, and we'll say write a or calculate min max from the data, from the plotted data. So that means that each plot has to return, or GSPlot has to return GSPlot range or something. Ranges, domain and range, so the input and output range. Okay, so then, but first let's just draw the plots. So draw the tick marks using min x, max x. And we'll just call this something. Call this GT and GS chart. Sorry, GT method GS chart build axis, right? Equals X if true, and then otherwise, so then we'll return something else. So if it's that, then we're going to return something else, and then otherwise we return. This is messy. This is a place to put some code. We'll clean this up in a little bit. All right, so I think there's a thing called interval. Interval. And what is interval? This is methods. This is a finite arithmetic progression or range of numbers. So okay, so min x to max x. And this says by but there's another thing called count, and that's added by not rosal, but numeric scales, which is also like a companion library or companion package to rosal, and it adds this thing to the number class. It also allows you to scale between. Where's that now? Oh, because GitHub. Okay. Yeah, it's an essential component used by rosal. All right, so min max count, and then so that's what that provides this thing, to count, and min x to count, and then the count would be ticks x. And so that's my interval. And then we say do, and then okay, so result. We'll call it axis. Axis is equal to this. We'll put that on one line. And then if it's this, then we're going to add the ticks, and then we'll return the axis. So if, and we won't do this, we'll say axis add child and then a tick. So we'll just build a tick in line DL. I think there's a line element, new, We don't need this. Just BL element new. Width, size is going to be so it's 24. The ticks are the boxes are 24 wide, so we'll call it 32. Or no, 32. We'll call it 16 at 1. And relocate to. I'm actually picturing the y-axis here in my head, even though I've been saying x the whole time. So we're going to relocate to -I times y scale. I don't know what that is, so I'm going to just do that as a constant for now. So y scale. I think you need the two of these. Yeah, you say y scale is equal to 50. We'll have to calculate that from the parent. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Oh, you can't say negative I. There's no prefix thing, so it's I negated y scale. Yeah. See now, but also the max, not the max y, but the parent height equals 50, right? Equals 500. I'll have to figure out how to get that. But you can't actually get it until you're like. That's part of the weirdness of block, is that until you're added to the scene, you don't have the scale information. I think that's unfortunate. And maybe there's a way to do that, but like I just written a note about that a little while ago. Oh, this is something. So this, I learned how to do this. Add cards here. Oscar showed me how to do that. And there's some note in here about how to do it. For right now. What was I going to show? Oh, I think I put that in block book. Not on here. I'm way down the thing. Yeah, size inquiries. But yeah, so if you create an element, the size is actually going to be 0, 0. It doesn't calculate its extent until it's laid out. And I need to figure out a better way to deal with that. Like there should be like a desired extent, but I'm not sure. That's one thing that Rosal does nice, is that it has its own idea of what all the sizes are, and then yeah, I'm not sure the right way to do this yet. Seems to me like you can, until you add it to a parent, you don't calculate the like adding it to a parent should cause it to inspect the parent, figure out what the sizes are, and then recalculate all these numbers, the parent height and extents and all that. So maybe this will be on extent change or something like that. So I'm not really sure what the right way to do that is yet. So for now, we're just sticking them in these little to be filled in later. So block. Well, later one. to do query actual values from block. Okay, so for now we have this, and then now we call this is build the ticks, which could be a method or whatever, but ticks for y-axis. And oh, but I still need to know that, so right, so parent height, right? That's why I'm just doing it a parent height minus I negated. And right, we don't need I negated here. I times y scale. So that's going to be the y coordinate. So whatever the height is, we go to the bottom and then we subtract, as counting up from 0. And then it would just be like 8, right? 8 at that. So the size is this, and we have now it's a little tick, 16 by 1 line, but we need to give it a background or a border. And we just say border. Right, so now I would expect to see a syntax error. So BL element new, this is adding, and then this closes all that, and we return the axis. All right, and so then if we go back here, and we run this, now I expect to see ticks going up. Oh, but we actually don't want it to go all the way down. We need a block here. So this, when we rebuild, we need to put an empty space here. So this needs to also be a vertical pane. So here, vertical pane new. And then add child. And then add child BL element new as spacer. Size, whatever the width is, 24 by 24, right? And if I were to do this for real, I would give that a name, like a named constant, like that. But spacer. And then after we're done with all those, and then that thing needs to match the parent. So rebuild again. This thing. Spacer. Okay.
but we only want H match parent. H match parent and no, V match parent and H fit content. So so we have the but I'm going to rebuild the border here. Self border color very light gray, and this is where XML actually shines. I think the whole I don't like this. This HTML interface, way for building user interfaces. Anyway, but say self remove children, and then border, and then we're going to say padding is BL insets all. Right, so now, oh, padding belongs to the horizontal thing. It's in rebuild, right? Something screwed up now. There we go. 5 is probably not the right number, but 8. My numbers are off because I need to know what the. Okay, so I need to inspect that widget and figure out what the actual size of it is. Because now that it's been added, I can ask for that. It's all size. I just printed that. 456. Okay, so we'll just say 457. That's broken. 4, 6.
again. Yeah. All right, we're going to remove that red box now. So that would be probably actually in initialize access. Move that red background. All right, run that again. And we added the black border on there. We don't need that anymore as well. I think when we said build axis, we added a black border, which we can get rid of. There we go. But the Y scale should be parent height divided by 6. If we do that, then that should line up perfectly with that top and the bottom. Okay. I'm getting some error messages over here. Line equation. I think I screwed something up there. That looks like something I did a while back. Oh, it's locked up. You need to give that a minute here. All right, what did I do? What did I do to screw things up here? I'm gonna have to kill this. It's not like it's. But get a break. Yeah, it's just popping up new blank windows here. I hit the debugger. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to recover from this one. All right, so let's just go ahead and kill. Not sure what I did, but cameras. Oh, and I hear people coming in the door, so I do have to go. I'll just go ahead and wrap this up. So thanks for watching, and yeah, hopefully there'll be some more progress in the not too distant future. Figure out how to recover that. No changes. Do you see how to recover from this? Missed it the first time. Go to code changes. You go to recover latest. But from here. Recover latest. And then composite chart. Okay. I didn't change these at all. I didn't mean to anyway. Package. So yeah, it actually does not matter if I change those because they're not my code. It's part of Glamorous. Um, Dang it. This is significantly more difficult than it was me. Supposed to be able to say recover latest, and it used to be just like one button to do this. Because there we go. I think if you don't select anything and you say apply, I have no idea why GGPlotter has changed. I did not mean to change it. Shouldn't be referencing it in any way. Yeah, so it's because I actually clicked on one, and if you click on one, then you're only applying that one thing. Okay, so now entries list. Yeah, so now I've got all these changes. And so a bunch of plotting stuff. GSPlot, GS chart, and GSPlot. Like I said, my family's here, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up for now. Wasn't really a great stopping point, but that's my life these days. So things are just a little slice of my slice of my day. So thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon, and whenever that may be.